All right. Welcome back to another one, y'all. So, today we're going to be talking about a kind of serious topic, but I think that this should be talked about more, especially in the men's community. So, we're going to be talking about ways to deal with depression because I feel like a lot of times people and YouTubers and things like that, they kind of like ignore the idea that guys get depressed because it happens. It happens to every person, man or woman. So I don't want to pretend like it doesn't happen, and I just want to help you come up with some ways to deal with it and be able to move past it so that you can go back to living life peacefully, like joyfully. So let's go over some ways to deal with depression. Also, I just want to make this disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. This is not medical advice. This is just my simple opinions. These are some things that I've done, and I'm telling you what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me. Also, I just want to make this disclaimer, okay? If you or if somebody that you know is dealing with thoughts of suicide, what I want you to do is I want you to go down to the description and click the very first link in the description. It takes you to a hotline where you can talk with a professional. I'm not able to give you professional advice on something like that, and I want you to know that it does not, and I will repeat this, it does not make you weak, does not make you soft, and you should not feel ashamed or judged if you are experiencing thoughts like that. It actually takes a very, very strong person to admit to yourself, I'm not okay right now. I need help. So do not feel ashamed and do not feel embarrassed if you have recognized that you have thoughts like that and you may need some help. It's okay. Don't be afraid to send a text or to call the hotline. All right? So let's get into some ways on how you can cope with depression. And I'm going to start with one that actually I made up myself. I don't know if anybody talks about this. Maybe they talk about it in different ways, but something I came up with is called having a slow day. All right. So let's say that you got a bunch of things that you got to get done today. Okay. Instead of just jumping right in and tackling those things gun ho, or you got to get X amount of things done in this amount of time, just take it slow. Whatever those things are, just take breaks in between. Just take it easy. If you got to work out and it usually takes you like 30 minutes, stretch it out to 45. Stretch it out to an hour. Take longer breaks. If you usually take 30-second breaks or a minute break in between sets, take 2 minutes, okay? A slow day is a really good way to get stuff done still while dealing with depression. So I think we're going to put that in A tier. Now, sometimes you will need a day off. I'll be honest, in most cases, you might not, but if it's like long term depression and you still got to keep moving through life, then I recommend taking a slow day. All right, next. What about taking a walk? Okay, some people recommend get outside, get some sunshine, go for a walk. We're going to put that in B tier. I think it's a great way to get some momentum rolling to get back to your regular life. I recommend doing this. The only thing I will say is it does not necessarily, in my case, it hasn't really fixed the problem or it hasn't really solved anything. It just helped me build a momentum to get my day started. So if it's like noon and I haven't done anything all day, if I go outside and I'll go for a little walk, it gives me that momentum to actually get stuff done. So I'll give that a B tier. All right. What about listening to music? Okay. You're feeling down, you're feeling sad. Let's go listen to some songs to cheer me up, or maybe even listen to some sad songs to feel comforted while I'm dealing with this. We're going to give that an A tier. That's a great way to deal with feeling down. That's literally what music is made for. This is why people make millions of dollars making music because they provide a service, and that service is to help to entertain or to help you feel comforted through their music. So that is a great way. Now, the reason why it's not S tier is because I don't recommend overstimulating yourself when you have depression. My thing is the less stimulation, the more effective. But the most effective thing isn't always the best thing to do. Sometimes you just gotta, take it easy. Listen to some music. All right? So that's A tier. What about hanging out with some friends? Calling up the guys, telling them to come over, or going out and being with the bros. Honestly, even as an introvert, and I don't even really like people, this is S tier. Okay? Having the guys around, just having human interaction whenever you're going through a tough time or going through something mentally is a great way to bring yourself back up and to take you away from your problems just for a little bit. Having that human interaction is nice, and it just feels really good. And also there's also so many benefits to socializing and all that. Even me as an introvert, I think this is an amazing way to help deal with depression. Maybe you've been away from people a long time and you just need to get back into it. So that's S tier. All right. Okay, what about eating? All right. What about having just that comfort meal and saying, you know what, I feel sad, I feel lonely, or I feel this, or I feel that. Let me go have a comfort meal. All right. So, what I do recommend is you have a comfort meal or a comfort snack, not using food as a coping mechanism. So, if we're talking about using food as a coping mechanism, that is going to be D tier. All right? Do not use food as a coping mechanism because you could develop an eating disorder this way or just gain a lot of weight just because you're depressed. You don't want to do that. You want to use it as a coping mechanism maybe once in a while and then go back to your regular eating and then use some of these other things that are much more effective or the same amount effective, but they don't affect your weight and affect the way you look and affect the way you feel. You might get depressed from gaining fat, so it would be even worse. So I don't recommend using food to deal with depression, but it could work sometimes. I just don't recommend it. All right. And I accidentally put two photos of food because this one's hard to see. But anyways, moving on. So what about playing video games? Okay, video games are a great way to escape your reality, to take some time away from thinking about work, thinking about things that stress you out. What about video games? I'm gonna say video games are a B tier. Like I said, it is a good way to escape, but I don't recommend escaping if you are dealing with depression. But now, if you're like an entrepreneur or if you just have a 9 to 5 job, you're working your ass off, and then you get home and you're stressed out and you want to unwind, video games are a great way to unwind. But to deal with depression, I recommend dealing with mental health first and also to deal with maybe whatever the problem is that is making you depressed instead of escaping that problem with video games. So I think that one's going to be a B tier just because it's good, but also can be bad if you use it the wrong way. All right. What about mindfulness? And when I say mindfulness, I don't necessarily mean just meditation because some people don't know how to meditate, and that's okay. But you can do meditation. You can literally lay in bed and just stare at the ceiling and just be still. Like, that's the point of mindfulness for me. Just to feel like you're stopping the forward movement of life and you feel like life is moving so fast, so fast. Just slow down, take it easy, and it feels like the entire world around you is slowing down and you're getting more time. Because if you're on TikTok and Instagram, you're scrolling, video, or you're watching porn and playing video games and eating food and overstimulating, then your mind is running a million times an hour. Just slow down, sit down on your couch, and just be present in silence. No TV, no phone, no music. Just sit there and be silent and be mindful. Or go out in nature and just observe the birds. Or maybe not even observe, just allow your senses to do whatever they want to do. So if you want to feel the bench that you're sitting on, you want to feel the grass on your feet, you want to listen to the birds, you want to watch them, you want to listen to the breeze, whatever. Just be present. And I recommend every single human on the planet do this at least 5 minutes a day. Even if it's only 2 minutes a day. This will help with not only deal and cope with depression, but it's also going to help prevent it from happening in the first place. So this is S tier. If there was a tier higher than S tier, that's where it would be. And then last but not least, we got drugs on here. Once again, I am not a medical professional, but I do not recommend drugs in any sort of situation. Now, if you go to a psychologist or a therapist or a doctor and they prescribe this, they prescribe that, it is what it is. But I think that just about every human on this planet, for the majority of the part, if you're watching this video, you're probably one of these people that I'm talking about, you can overcome your depression without substances. And I'm talking about like anxiety suppress, I don't know what they're called, like things that help you like deal with anxiety and depression, like drugs that are prescribed from a doctor. I think you don't need those things. Now that's just my personal opinion, but I don't think you need them. Because what did cavemen do back in the day? You think cavemen didn't get depressed? Of course they did. But you think they just said that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go out and kill mammoths this week. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are just going to have to figure out some ways to get food and get shelter because, I just can't do it this week. I'm just not feeling it. Of course not. They got up and they did it anyway, but they couldn't continuously over and over and over do it again and do it again while still being depressed. They found ways to overcome depression, just like we can in today's time. And we have so many resources and opportunities because we've evolved intelligently to understand how to deal with things like that. They didn't even know what depression was, but I'm sure they found some ways to, like, I don't know, do family time or something. I don't know. But in any case, I would never recommend drugs. This one gets its own tier. We got to add a whole new tier, okay? This one is going to be F tier. You should never, in my personal opinion, and when I'm talking about drugs, I'm not talking about the ones you get from doctors. I'm talking about like weed, alcohol, nicotine, cigarettes, all those. You know what I'm talking about. Pills, snorting, everything. You should not try to numb yourself from the depression because guess what's going to happen? Whenever you're done and you wake up in the morning, guess what's going to happen? It's still there. Okay? So, let's put this here in F tier. I don't recommend drugs at all. So, with that being said, this is the tier list. If you are, once again, dealing with depression or if you're struggling with those thoughts, please go down into the first link in the description. I'm also going to put it in a comment. And reach out to somebody. They can help. I'm not an expert on this. I'm just telling you ways that I have used that have helped me feel better over time, helped me get out of a rut, helped me get out of a mental and emotional rut, and then get back into regular life. I suggest you use some of these methods up here. Listen to some music, have a slow day, spend some time with friends and family, be mindful, and then after you start using those, and you kind of get worn out from using these, you can, go for some walks. I actually think walking is probably A tier, let's be honest. And then, play some video games, relax, do some entertainment. Okay? But you don't need drugs. You don't need to numb yourself. And also, the last thing I'm going to say is this, the big picture, okay? If you are experiencing depression, there is probably something in your life that you can do to combat that problem. More than likely, there is. So, I suggest take one step today to figure out what that problem is and take one step to start to resolve it. And then the next day, take one more step. And then the next day, take another step. And step by step, you will be able to fix that problem. And then, hey, the problem's gone. But that's the tier list. Hope you enjoyed. Watch another one.